Now, we all watched how dominant Florida State was on Sunday night. We live stream it with all you guys. Thank you all for joining us. And outside of maybe Colorado, they had the best performance so far of 2023 in our early season. Now, I had FSU winning the ACC, and at least early, they look like the team with the most potential in that conference. But calling Florida State the clear-cut best team in the country before we've even gotten to week 2 is not only premature, but it's borderline reckless and casual. Now, I'm not going to penalize the other top teams like Michigan, Georgia, or Alabama for handling their business against inferior opponents, and we won't truly know about those teams' ability to be able to dominate against good teams until they actually play some of them. Now, neither one of the 3 teams I just mentioned really showed anything, and they were able to win comfortably. So while the Noles look fantastic, you can't put the cart before Chief Osceola just yet. Now, Florida State does seem to have the ingredients to be that top team down the line, possibly. They're electric and versatile on offense, from the outside to the inside to the offensive line. They're fast and physical on defense while showing the ability to excel in both man and zone coverage. They do have to limit the bonehead penalties and mistakes, but that's fixable, and I guarantee you Mike Norvell will have that buttoned up. But the honest answer is nobody really has a clue who the best team in the country truly is yet. But we will hear shortly, starting with Bama hosting Texas this weekend. Now, never forget, football season is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It is a true battle of attrition. But at least the early returns on Florida State are pretty damn good. I'm going to bring in former Florida State fan and former Michigan quarterback David Cohn. My brother, currently on the mend from the Achilles. It's handy capable. Blaine Crane. Merman, Pop. Merman. Now, before we get into this, we are almost to 100,000 subscribers. So if you are watching or you are listening or however you're getting down, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button in there as well. We have a ton of people in the chat. Want to make sure everybody hits that like button. It helps in the algorithm. And leave a comment. Remember, donations do get read first. And go ahead and get that subscription to Daily Wire Plus. Guys, college football season is back. The NFL is almost here. We have Major League Baseball playoffs right around the corner. And life's more fun when you're in on the action. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use our code CRANE, C-R-A-I-N, C-RAIN, you get it? New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook and only with our code CRANE, C-R-A-I-N. DraftKings, the crown is yours. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE-NEW YORK 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Camp Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dnkg.com/football for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Boom!
Woo, and breathe.
Wow. That's exactly right. Give me a cowboy hat. Let's turn this thing into an auction. David, early in the year, talked about this yesterday. It's easy to say, man, the teams that beat other good teams, those are the best teams in the country. But you have teams like Texas, who I didn't throw in there. We talked about Georgia. We talked about Michigan, these other top tier teams that haven't had an opportunity to really showcase everything they have against a good team, because there's 2 trains of thought when you're playing an inferior opponent week 1. You either show a lot from a formation personnel grouping standpoint, where they have to work on the team you're playing in week 2 has to work on a bunch, or you don't show a lot and you have the element of surprise.
Well, since the rankings serve no other purpose right now other than our own entertainment, then yeah, I'm fine. Just put Florida State at the very top. I want to have chaos, and I just want to use the poll at this point to incentivize teams to schedule games like this. We got LSU Florida State week 1. That's a big risk. I mean, you talk about the way Oregon played Georgia last year in the opener. That was a risk for them, and there was talk that could be the thing.
They got murdered.
And they did, and that we were talking down the stretch when they were winning every other game. Man, is that really what's going to keep Oregon out of the college football playoff? Now, it ended up not being the game that kept them out. But still, I want to incentivize all these programs to play opening season games like that so we can get a half dozen or 10 of those type of games rather than just 1 or 2 every single week. But that aside, if you're just, it's our job to give the eye test on these teams. And I think, look, we are ready. Like, all these other outlets were saying, oh, Florida State climbs in the top 5 now.
Yeah, we're like, we had them 4.
Yeah, we're going to get to our power rankings, but we already had them in the top 5. One thing I do want to say, in terms of along with your point of saying, don't get carried away too quickly. Florida State and LSU were tied with 5 minutes left in the third. Florida State did make plenty of mistakes as well in that football game. So look, it's week 1 for everyone. I say let's move along here and analyze more as we see more.
No, without a doubt. And Blaine, something we've talked about with, moving towards super conferences. You look at the more teams that conferences add, the more conference games you're going to have to play. And if I'm sitting here in, let's say, the SEC, for example, with 20 teams or 22 teams, and I've got to play a 10-game in-conference schedule that now includes a Texas and an Oklahoma, or maybe they add Florida State or Clemson, I'm not scheduling Florida State or any team outside of the SEC that's good. I'm scheduling Portland State. I'm scheduling La Monroe, who shut out La Monroe, beat Army. That was a big upset week 1. But are we seeing the death of big-time out-of-conference games? Great example, Georgia and Oklahoma are supposed to play out of conference. Oklahoma joins the conference, and Georgia plays UT Martin. So are we seeing the death, the slow death, the death by 1,000 cuts of big-time non-conference games?
I wouldn't do it. I mean, give me Mercer, give me Elon.
Yes.
I don't. What's the huge incentive to do this?
Money.
Okay, money. I mean, but what else? I'm not like ranking-wise. You get to be ranked in the top 2 for a couple weeks.
Like you wouldn't do it if you're the head. You're talking about from a head coaching.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not talking about
from decide what the schedule is. Think about the ADs and the universities are saying, wait, if we play Alabama in week 1, we can make how much money? But if we play UT Martin in week 1, we have to give up $1.5 million.
But what happens though when we go to this 12-team playoff and now you have a chance to be the 10 seed at 9-3? Like I just don't. I think they'll say, well, if we make the playoff, we'll make the money that we had to pay. Like that's what down the line. Like they would much rather make the playoff and get that exposure. Are we really marching toward, eventually if we do get in these 2 huge super conferences to where you're just playing conference games? Like there are no more.
Yes, but even if we do that, they're going to have to break it down by some sort of, I don't know, let me just use the word division.
Yeah.
Which how's that different than what we had with conferences? Like it's all a joke.
We're all going.
We're going to get to 2 different 24-team super conferences with one's Fox and one's ESPN. They can't all play each other. How are we going to identify a true champion? We break them down into smaller parts.
Regionally,
exactly what we had before.
Regionally, okay,
these people don't know what they're doing, but I'll digress.
What if we take all the teams on the West Coast, all right, and we just pack them together? We could call it the pack. Say take 12 of them. Like we say football is cyclical. Like everybody's gonna be running the triple option in 30 years. We're just gonna end up going. They're like the Southwest Conference or the Big East, right? Let's merge the Big Ten. I don't know. It's just I feel like we're going back to it. Hey YouTube, just want to say thank you guys for getting us to 100,000. Now let's get to 200,000. The race begins. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you're subbed if you're not. Hit that like button. Turn that notification bell on. We really appreciate it.